Hi guys, good evening. Welcome to the live specifically for PCOS, as this is the PCOS awareness month. Give me a couple of minutes as we wait for a few people to join in. Meanwhile, I'm also trying to log into Facebook, and this is giving me a hard time. I'm just trying to log into Facebook Live as well so that people could join in from there. While I wait from there, I'm going to be trying to logging in into the Facebook account. So just give me a couple of minutes. Hi Rahman, hi Golden Burglar, hi Deepa. Alright, there seems to be an issue with Facebook, so we'll try one more time, and if not, then we will definitely just go ahead with Insta Live today. Hi Arman. Okay, I am not sure if this is a request to go live as of now. Perhaps once we're done talking about PCOS, I could accept the request to be in the live. But for now, I would want to specifically talk about PCOS. So just one more minute, and we will go all out talking about PCOS. Just to give you guys a background, this is a month which is treated as PCOS Awareness Month globally. And 1 in 5 women across the globe are suffering from PCOS. We're going to be talking a lot more about PCOS. Just give me a minute and let me try Facebook one more time. And if you have any questions about PCOS, please put them in the comment section and we'll pick it up from there. Alright, looks like it's going to be difficult to go live on Insta. So let's start talking about PCOS and what is PCOS and why is there so much talk about PCOS these days. PCOS has become an epidemic in itself. If you guys understand, PCOS stands for Polycystic Ovarian Disease, Ovarian Syndrome. Sorry, so let me clarify this. First, confusion that it is PCOS and it is not PCOD. So PCOD, people thought it was a disease and thereby it was called Polycystic Ovarian Disease, and later by the PCOS Society of India, it was clearly told that this is not a disease, it is a syndrome, it is a metabolic disorder, it has various manifestations, and hence we will not call it PCOD, we just call it PCOS, which is Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. Now what happens in that and what is PCOS? Now PCOS is a situation where, of course, we will talk about the symptoms and manifestation, but in PCOS, a female who has attained puberty, who has a period cycle, has issues where there is an excess of male hormones, which we call as androgens. Now in that, the manifestations are a girl could have irregular periods, a girl could have acne, a girl could have facial hair, which is called hirsutism, a girl could have dark lines around the neck area, which is called Nigeria acanthosis, a girl could gain weight or have difficulty in losing weight. Now why does it happen? One, of course, so we had asked this question in our story a couple of days ago. Is it genetic? Well, certain people said yes, it is genetic. Certain people said it's not because of genes. 10% to 20%. So if your mother's had PCOS, if she's had any of these symptoms, you do stand a higher likelihood of having hormonal imbalance, of getting PCOS. However, if you work around your lifestyle, you can just absolutely manage it. Now, the first truth about PCOS is that there is no cure for PCOS. However, the bigger truth, which is the second truth, is that PCOS can be very well managed. The condition can be managed, and so can be your symptoms. And once that is managed, it is as good as your condition is reversed. Right? Now, coming back to why do women get it? It could also, one, of course, we said it can be genetic. Two, it is primarily because of lifestyle. Now, if a girl has PCOS, how do you identify, first of all? So the criteria that I spoke about, a woman has to undergo certain tests, and at least two criteria should be met before a girl is diagnosed of PCOS. So either a hormonal imbalance through a blood test, which reveals that there is more male hormones in the blood. Number two, ultrasound, which reveals that there are polycystic, which means there could be multiple cysts in the ovary. Also make sure that if you undergo an ultrasound, that you specifically ask for the volume of the ovaries. Very, very important. And number three are the physical manifestation that we spoke about, which could be facial hair, which could be weight gain, which could be mood swings, which could be sudden hair loss, irregular periods. So out of these, if a girl is meeting two criteria, the doctors would identify them as a girl with PCOS. Now, what can we do and how bad it is? Well, it is a pandemic or an epidemic in itself, because 1 in 5 women are suffering from PCOS across the globe, and hence this approach of celebrating September as the PCOS awareness month. It does, in fact, it is quite unfortunate that women are sort of developing fear of PCOS. I personally came across a girl who said that she will never get married because she has PCOS. And I was surprised, and it took me about half hour to tell her that this condition is absolutely manageable. You can reverse it to the extent that you will get your periods, that you will be able to conceive. So the issues could be with your irregular period, with your physical appearance in terms of facial hair or weight. It could also be that fear of, will I be able to conceive or not? Now, what happens in PCOS is that your periods, you could have, so any cycle which is between 28 to 35 days is considered a normal cycle. However, anything pre 28 days or post 35 days is not a normal period cycle, which means that you have irregular periods. It could also be that you have very heavy bleeding during your periods or very scanty bleeding during your periods. So these are all the gamut of things that one needs to see what's happening. Now, if you go to a doctor for PCOS, more often than not, you are put on contraceptive pills, number one. Number two, you're also put on medication that is used for type 2 diabetes. Now, why is that used? Type 2 diabetes medication is used basically for insulin resistance, and which is what we are dealing with when we talk about PCOS. PCOS also means that there is insulin resistance. Now, what is happening is there is insulin, and there is insulin is a hormone which causes fat storage. The moment there is fat storage, we have an issue of irregular periods and hormonal imbalance. So that's how it is connected. Also, now let's understand, how do we deal with this? Obviously, now we've become more modern. Yes, a question that comes across a lot of time is that Why are people saying that it's 1 in 5 only now? Did PCOS not exist earlier? Or is it only a recent phenomena? Well, PCOS did exist from 1900s. We did see women who were obese. We did see women with facial hair. But now we've become more aesthetically aware. Also, if we're aware to the extent that we like to visit a doctor if there's an issue. So for example, if a girl has facial hair, she would end up going to a dermat. If a girl has acne, she would end up going to a dermat, which was not the case earlier. If a girl has an irregular period, the mother may take them to an endocrinologist, or the mother may take them to, let's say, a physician, and it reveals from there, or to a gynac. So there is more awareness, and hence there is more there is more diagnosis. We did see this earlier as well, however not to the extent that we're seeing it today. Earlier what we saw was the real hormonal imbalance. What we're seeing is now is hormonal imbalance clubbed with lifestyle issues, clubbed with eating issues. Now the moment we start eating, now coming to the diet bit, what happens in PCOS, the moment you start eating, okay, let's understand the vicious cycle first. Weight loss gives rise to hormonal imbalance, which manifests in the form of PCOS, which then makes it difficult for you to lose weight. So you're going in circle and not able to sort of figure out what is it that you should be doing. So it's very important you understand what is the reason. The moment you have any of these symptoms, first you must get an ultrasound done. 2, you must look at your periods in that range where I said 28 to 35 days. If it is out of this range, it must be something that you need to pay attention to. Also, if you have very heavy bleeding, or if you have very scanty bleeding, right, the moment any of this happens, and if you're trying to lose weight and you're not able to successfully lose weight, you need to again look at your lifestyle. Now first thing first, what do we do when you have PCOS? You straight away go and first look at your diet. And how do you look at your diet? We call it a 24-hour dietary recall, where you actually sit down with a pen and a paper and really see what is it that you've eaten in a normal course of 24 hours. What is your diet like? Are there processed foods featuring in your diet? Are there refined foods featuring in your diet? Are there too many ready to eat snacks? Are there fried stuff? Is there no protein or less protein? Are you eating out too much? Are you not exercising? So that gives a baseline to us to be able to work. Like I said, if you go to a doctor, you are given a medication of type 2 diabetes, and thereby what we do in our practice is that we help you with the right kind of food. Because it is a lifestyle disorder, because it is a metabolic disorder, we manage it naturally. So the first thing that we really do is to look at your diet and rework on your diet. Because it is treated with diabetes medication, because it is insulin resistant, we start a diet which is low on glycemic index. So you need to make sure that you're eating food which does not cause sugar peaks and valleys, where there are no spikes in your sugar levels. Now, what does that mean? Let's say you want to eat roti and sabzi. Now, when you eat more of roti and less of sabzi, there's going to be an immediate insulin spike, which will cause the problem. Whereas, if you start your meal with a big serving of vegetable and a protein, which can be in the form of dal, which can be in the form of meat, which can be in the form of dairy products, which can be in the form of eggs, it will make sure that the vegetable and the protein have reduced the insulin spike, and thereby your body is able to perform better. So a diet for a PCOS girl would typically be a diet which will be moderate on carbohydrate, which is about 25 to 45% of carbohydrate. Now here I don't want to look at a very low limit of 25%, but by and large, say, let's say anywhere between 40 to 50% of carbohydrate, which are complex carbohydrates. So the whole grains like your barley, your besan, jawar, ragi, all of these things are what are important for a PCOS patient, and not really the maida, the rava, the snacking of your simple carbs. And your protein and your good fat is very, very important. So protein in the form, like I said, dairy, pulses, legumes, nuts and seeds, your meat and lean meat specifically, and eggs. Good fat, again, nuts and seeds. Coconut oil is very good, pure ghee is very good, and everything and anything under the umbrella of oil should be wood pressed for people who have PCOS. So that's on the dietary part, the basic dietary part. Now there's been and I've had a lot of questions regarding this live, where people have asked me questions about gluten and PCOS, because apparently there is this thing of the moment you have PCOS you should stop gluten. And people want to know as to what do I think about it and what's the right thing. Should they be taking gluten if they have PCOS, or should they be completely avoiding gluten? Now understand what is gluten. Gluten is nothing but a protein which is found in wheat, which is found in barley and rye. So now we need to deal with only wheat and barley, because rye is something that we don't get in India. Right now, in wheat and barley, the problem here is that the modern wheat that we are getting, which is hybrid wheat, is one very, very high on gluten content, not how it was when our ancestors ate gluten. So the moment we eat that gluten, there is an inflammation in the body, and inflammation is something which is part of PCOS, which is what causes PCOS, and which is why gluten is not good. However, there is a particular kind of wheat which is available, which is called khapli wheat, which is also called MR wheat, which is more primitive, which has lower gluten content. You can definitely use that, or work with alternates like the millets. We have ragi, we have jawar, we have amaranth, we have quinoa. We have barnyard, foxtail, proso millet. So these are the millets that one can look at, and besan is a very good option, because again it's very low on glycemic index as well. So that's on gluten. Second thing is dairy. A lot of questions about dairy. I have PCOS. Should I take dairy or should I steer away from dairy? Well, there's one school of thought which believes, rightly so though, that you must have dairy to be able to get your calcium. And there is one school of thought which says dairy has all the problems. So I'm going to talk about both of them. Yes, dairy is a good source of calcium, but there are better sources of calcium. So for example, your sesame seed is a very good source of calcium. Barley is a good source. Green leafy vegetable is a good source of calcium. The other grains, nuts and seeds, they're all good source of calcium. So you can definitely look at those sources as well. The other thing that one needs to understand when it comes to milk is that the way the milk is adulterated these days. There are hormones injected into the cows to ensure that there is a let down reflux that takes place, wherein the cow can give more milk. There are antibiotics that are being injected into the cows, again for more production. Now these hormones, when they go into our body, are obviously going to create hormonal imbalance. So if you are not sure of the source of your dairy, then it's definitely a good idea to steer away from dairy. However, if you know a local vendor who's supplying milk in your area, is definitely a good option to exercise. So if you know that the dairy is coming from a known source, if it's organic, you can definitely look at dairy consumption. The other thing that people now have been saying, that cow's milk is not for humans, cow's milk is for calves. So the theory is that milk has something called IGF, which is insulin growth factor, which is what helps the infant to grow. So if we see when a mother feeds a baby, the milk is just about right, just about enough for the child, for the infant to grow. So it's the same thing. And like I said, if you are aware of your dairy source, go ahead and use that dairy. Absolutely fine. Make curd at home, use it as prebiotic and probiotic. So these are the questions that I wanted to cover. If you have any questions related to PCOS, please put them in the comment section and we'll be happy to take that. Also, I wanted to specifically talk about how do you divide your plate when you have PCOS. It's very important that you learn how to divide your plate in the right proportion. So 1/4 or a little less than 1/4 of your meal should be your carbs, which are your grains, which can be your millets, which can be quinoa, which can be amaranth, which can be sometimes wheat fulkas, which can be rice. The remaining two quadrants, that is 1/4 and 1/4, should be raw vegetables and cooked vegetables. Very, very important to begin your meal with those things so that you don't see an insulin spike. And the very important quadrant, which I haven't spoken about, is protein. Extremely important, because you need it for your enzymes, you need it for your hormones, you need it for your cells, you need it for your muscles. So a good source of protein, right? So let's say if you're having rice, then make sure that there is dal with it. If you're having rajma, make sure that there is rice with it. If you're having chicken or if you're having fish, make sure that there's some rice or there is fulka with it. So it's very, very important that you combine your protein and carbohydrate really smartly, for one reason, which is the insulin spike that I spoke about, and two, that the bioavailability, that the absorption of the amino acids is much better when you eat it this way. Now coming to the second most important part of PCOS is your workout. Very, very important. Like I said, it's a vicious cycle. So weight gain, and then insulin, and then hormonal imbalance, and then PCOS, and which leads to more weight gain. So you need to make sure that you exercise every day for about 30 to 40 minutes, which is moderate to intense kind of exercise. There is something called lean PCOS, which means that a girl could be right on her exact BMI, a healthy BMI, and still has PCOS. And the question then asked is, I am not overweight, should I still be exercising? And the answer is very simple and straight. Yes, you should be exercising, because you have PCOS and because there is insulin resistance. You must exercise, and you must follow resistance exercise. You must follow weight training. So a balance of weight training, resistance training, yoga and cardio. Very, very important for somebody who has PCOS. So, plan your workout in a way where you start with a warm up, you do a cardio, and then you could do some stretches or some resistance band workout. You could start with light weights and then graduate to heavy weights, and some yogic breathing, which would then synchronize your mind and body and hormones, right? So very, very important. Number 3 is sleep. Extremely important. If you have PCOS, you need to have a proper circadian rhythm, which means you need to sleep at a time which you fixed. So you can't sleep today at 10 o'clock and tomorrow at 12:30. You must fix up a sleep and a wake up pattern. So anywhere between 10 to 11 is a good window to sleep, and anywhere between 5:30 to 6:30 is a good window to wake up. So make sure that you sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time, which will allow your body to rejuvenate, which will allow your circadian rhythm to be in place, and you will be able to see amazing health benefits with that. So we've covered sleep, we've covered diet, we've covered workout, we've covered the pathology of PCOS. Now let's talk about stress. Very, very important. Now what happens when you have stress is that your body on its own will release cortisol, which will then release insulin. The moment there is insulin, there is fat storage, and then you go into the vicious circle all over again. And hence you need to make sure that you work on your stress levels. You could just go out and walk in open area. If that helps you, listen to some music, practice meditation, practice mindfulness, and you need to ensure that you have at least 15 to 20 minutes of me time on daily basis. Now once you do that, it sort of gives you that calming effect. It gives you the feeling that you are important for yourself, and the journey begins from there. So start doing these 5 things if you have PCOS. And trust me, you will be able to reverse your condition. You will be able to manage your symptoms. Your periods will get regular, and it will be a very, very smooth journey. So I've covered all the questions that we'd received and that we'd received here in the comment section. However, if you still have any more questions, please put them in the comment section and we will get back to you. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk again. Bye-bye.